My name is Barbara Geraghty and I'm chairperson of the Curragh Local History Group. We were established 25 years ago next November, so that's a good record. The clubhouse is opposite the post office and beside the Church of Ireland on the Curragh Camp. And we hold our meetings every Tuesday, the last Tuesday of every month. And everybody is welcome, and we'd be delighted to see new members.
I was born in 1938, so I've seen a lot of the Curragh in the intervening years, but I mean, I've seen a dramatic change in the place. I mean, the Curragh now that I was born into is not the Curragh that's here now, you know. It was a fabulous place to be a child in the 40s and 50s, where you had the run of the place. You could use the swimming pool. There was a gymnasium, a wooden gym down near the squash courts here that you could go down Saturday morning. Kids were welcomed into a Saturday morning. No health and safety regulations. You could climb ropes. You could do anything in that line, you know. Then you had the plains to play cowboys and Indians on. My first memory of Christmas would have been, I suppose, I must have been 1940, maybe 43, around that time. I was a little lad, and I remember getting a bugle for Christmas, and I went. My father brought me to mass Christmas morning anyway, and I produced this bugle and started to blow that bugle, and it was unceremoniously hauled out by my dad. But that was but Christmas time with the kids here, you know, the girls all got dolls and the boys all got guns, and you do bang bang, you're dead, I got you first, and all this kind of thing, you know, to be running around, and it was brilliant, like, you know, really good. And then they had, well, being a civilian, I wouldn't have been invited to the birthday party or the Christmas parties. You had Christmas parties. Barbara there will tell you about the Christmas parties. You'll have known about those, you know, the different messes would set up parties for the children and that. And but I remember when my dad died in 1950, I think that year they invited me, McDonough, to the Christmas party, you know, because I was only 12, would have been 12 at that time, like, you know. So, no, it was a good old place, as I said, to grow up in. There's like with a name like Reggie Darling, you'd imagine you'd have got a bit of bullying, but never had any problems in that way. I remember one Christmas, actually it was around Christmas 1950, you know, my dad died. There was a plantation, you know, down at the back of the priest's house here. It was fairly newly planted, so you had small trees, and I went down with a bread knife and I cut down one of the trees. And I remember there was snow on the ground, and I dragged it. This was a Christmas tree, like, you know. I dragged it home, and of course, when my mother saw this, she said, "Bring that back where you got it," you know. And I had to bring it. Well, I don't know where I dumped it somewhere. And I can remember then seeing, you know, my tracks were in the snow. There was very little traffic in those days, and I was saying if the PAs, you know, the military police, was to be able to trace me back to the. And I remember going out with a brush and trying to brush away my tracks in the snow. I remember saying it to some military policeman after, and he said, "Yeah," and he said, "We were trying to solve that mystery for years."
We go on a tour every year, and we have a full bus load every year, and we have lots of artefacts here. And acquiring them all the time, and it's a very interesting place to come up and to see, and our talks are always very good. And it was established, as I said, 25 years ago by Reggie Darling and Oliver McFarland, May O'Shea, Annie Purcell, Marie Barnes, and Sister Veronica from Newbridge, and we've kept it going ever since.
was an old pond down there, the old magazine pond. We used to skate on it in the winter, and we'd fish for tadpoles in the springtime in it. So it used to dry up in the summer and it would reappear again then in the autumn. So but that's gone now, filled in. So and then of course in about 46 there was a big increase in the population here, because prior to that the civilians would have been evacuated during the war years, and the old married quarters then would have been used as accommodation for troops. There were about 6,000 troops here during the emergency, and then with the end of the war they started to downsize the army, and these soldiers were gone, and the people that probably lived in those buildings and they got back in to them, and you had people coming from all over Ireland, like coming back. Their fathers would have been transferred maybe to the Curragh Camp at that time, and the families would come back from Roscommon and Cork, Tipperary, all over the place, Dublin. So there were loads of new friends then to play with around the place from that time on, But the Curragh then evolved, I suppose, into it's more like a campus now, where you have all kinds of courses for the military, and they have command staff. They're doing huge work on the military college at the moment. They're building it, rebuilding parts of it and doing it up, and I think there's a budget of 5 million or something. So as we speak they're working on it there now. So but the Curragh as a community is has diminished out of all recognition. It's not, there were 27 businesses on the Curragh up to about 40 years ago, and I think there are 3 or something now. So my son now has a barber shop over there, and we're there since 1901. So we're by far the longest business in the camp. So how long he'll be there for I don't know, but anyway he's still there. This bell is the original encampment bell. It was specially cast for the camp on the Curragh. You can see here, encampment, Curragh of Kildare, 1855. That was the year that the Curragh Camp was built, and we kind of assumed that the bell was used as a kind of I suppose maybe an alarm bell, or used for like calling soldiers to say Reveille and lights out, and all the different things that they would have had for marking the time of day in a military base at the time. And it was subsequently superseded by a gun. They used to fire off a gun every 6 hours, I think it was, and this gun could be heard in Naas stores then. It was so loud. So, and the gun was located up at where the water tower is now, and we're kind of I think this bell was something in the same area, maybe over near the old wooden church, Catholic church. You can see some of the old photographs show kind of a wooden, kind of like a belfry, but we're not sure, but we assume that's where it was, But when the British left, they cut the bell to destroy it, and they removed the clapper inside, So it's just a shell of its former self. Anyway, this is a model of a Junkers 88, a German bomber. That the original plane was on a photographic reconnaissance mission over Belfast, prior to Belfast being bombed in, I think it was 1942, around that period, and it was attacked by a squadron of Hurricanes, and one of its engines was knocked out, and they managed to get into cloud. It was heavy cloud over Ireland at the time, and they went right down across southern Ireland with the intention of getting back to their base in northern France. When they got to just off the coast off Kinsale, the lads in the Hurricanes were waiting. They knew where it was heading for, and the boys decided that they would crash land. So they picked out a field somewhere near Belgooley was the name of the place. So they crash landed there in the field, and they all survived the crash, and ended up incarcerated in the Curragh here in the internment camp here for the duration of the war. But one of the crew members made this model, and he gave it to a man that he was friendly with. He had met him in Dublin while he was going to Bolton Street. Take a lot of the German prisoners went to Bolton Street and NGOs. So we acquired it, and we were able to find out from a book written by Donald McFarland on it was about all the German and Allied planes that crash landed in Ireland at that time. So with the serial number on this, that's how we were able to get the information.